Hey everyone, welcome back to my vlog. My name is Janelle and I'm so happy that you are tuned in. Thank you to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys coming through for the girl. I saw how rapidly my page was growing and it's been insane just to see it. So thank you so much to y'all. You guys are the real ones. Today I'm downtown Philadelphia in Center City and I just decided to use my baby mic because I don't think y'all can hear me that good without it. So we're going to go ahead and use that. But today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about running a half marathon. A lot of you guys have asked me that question about my training and what I did to run the half marathon that just happened in March here in Philly. And so I wanted to share that with you. Throughout this video, you can expect to learn how I trained for it, what I ate to train for my marathon, what I wore, how I figured out the time and how to track myself to make sure I was running a correct time during the marathon, and also my why and how you can stay motivated to make sure that while you're training throughout the whole time you are able to actually get to the end. I want to talk about the importance of making sure that you have a plan. So when I decided one day in November, I was just like, I want to run a half marathon. I never ran one. It's always been on my bucket list, but I want to do it. So what I decided to do was I made a plan. I decided that I I knew it was in March and it was November now. November, March, April, May. November, wow. November, December, January, February, March. It was about 5 months. November, December, January. Wait, November, December. Wow. November, December, January, February, March. You guys help me out. All right. So it was 5 months. So I knew I had 5 months to train for this. So I gave myself space where if I got like unmotivated or something like that, I had space that I can recover. I also made sure that it was early enough where it wasn't too cold where I can run. I knew I wanted to run outside. So I made sure that that was a part of, my plan. So make sure you see what kind of time, make sure it's realistic. Now I used to run all the time. I shouldn't say all the time, like every day, but I ran at least once a week. So I knew what my points were. I kind of knew what my baseline was. So make your plan around that. What is your baseline? I used actually the Peloton app. The Peloton app was amazing because it actually broke down out. They have a whole like 26-week or 26-mile marathon. So what I did was I just used the whole marathon training and I broke it in half. And that's what I did. And doing that, I was able to then build from there. So I use their programming, I use their training, and I use, the runs that they had incorporated. So when you start training for a marathon, for those of you guys who are tuning in, is like, this is my first marathon. I don't run a lot. I don't even know what races are. I don't know what shoes I should wear. Like what is the minute per mile? Like I don't know. Don't worry. I didn't know any of that either. So all you have to know is that all you have to look for, I should say, is get Google. You can Google it, Pinterest it. If you're a Peloton person like I was, you can use your Peloton app. And even if you're not, if you don't have a Peloton, you can absolutely download the app and get you a username, all that good stuff. I think it's like $10 a month or something like that. I'm not even sure, but make sure you have a plan. So 3 times a week I ran. I always knew that on Sundays were my long runs. I always knew that 2 times a week I would be running. One would be my tempo run, which is a run that you start with short strides and you make it longer. And I knew another one would be a fun run. So just making sure that you are running at least 3 times a week because you want your feet to get used to that. You want your feet to get used to you running. So that time. So I did that. So I also strength trained. It was a very light strength training that I did twice a week. And what I did in the beginning, I was like, I want to grow a booty too. I'm gonna be running out here, and I want to grow a booty. And I was trying to like strength train like heavy weights. That's not happening when you're running a half marathon. Sorry, not happening. So I had to decide I couldn't have the big booty that season. So anyway, so what I did was I strength trained twice a week, and it was a runner strength train. So you want to use low weights and make sure you're working on your mobility. Again, if you're hearing anything and you're like, I don't even know what mobility is, I don't know what that is, just Google it, just YouTube it. I'm telling you that the resources out there are awesome. And you don't have to do a lot. If you get just 3 mobility movements, you want to make sure you're using them. So that's what I did. I made sure I did that twice a week. You want to make sure you do that because you want to build muscle, because you are going to be running a lot and it's going to prevent injury. So make sure that you are incorporating some light strength training. You want to make sure that your sleep is priority. When I say your sleep is priority, it has to be just as important as you getting your runs in. I remember, like, when I started my training, my sleep, I always been a big sleeper, like sleep girl. Like, I always knew I needed 7 hours of sleep, like, or 6 to 7. When I was training for my run, I had to sleep 8 hours. Like, there was nothing around that. I was going to be sleeping for 8 hours because I saw the difference it made in my performance the next run. And it's not even just about the fact that you're tired now, it's about recovery. So your recovery is just as important as anything else when it comes to this run. And that's what you have to, like, shift your mind at. We're so used to, like, the hustle and bustle and going and all that good stuff. But the reality is that your recovery is really going to make the difference in your training. I know a lot of people who are runners and they have horrible sleep patterns, and they're runners, but, like, I don't want to call them lousy runners because it's not like I'm this amazing runner, but they tell me, like, I need to sleep more. I notice when I sleep an hour more, 15 minutes more, a half hour more, my runs are so much better. And so why not just cut out the extra stuff, cut out the BS, and just make sure that you get 8 hours of sleep, 7 to 8. I think anything below 7, you're just cutting yourself short. Make sure this is enjoyable. Thing that I did, which was very helpful, is talking about people that I knew that were runners, I did connect with like people who worked at, like, running stores, so they can, like, help me kind of stay motivated and, like, remind me, like, hey, this is a good shoe, this is good, this is what you should do. Make sure you're doing this or doing that, using this kind of gel tea. Just stay connected to runners, I would say. If you can join, like, a run club, where I was in my hometown at the time when I started training, I didn't know of a lot of running clubs, so I wasn't a part of them. But if you can get connected to a running club, I say do that, because the more knowledge around running, it's not just like you're running from here to the park. Like, this is running a half marathon is legit, like, it's hardcore. So you want to make sure that you're with people who, this is a part of their life, this is a part of their daily lifestyle. How to eat for the race, and, like, not just the day of, but training. So this was also a very big deal. So when I started training, you guys know I'm on Wegovy, so my eating, I wasn't that hungry all the time. Like, so when I started running, I noticed right away that I was hungry all the time, like, all the time. Like, I would eat breakfast, and literally I would go for my run or something, and I would come home and I would need to eat, like, a whole nother breakfast. Like, it was that serious. And so the thing is, with running, you're gonna get to a point where you're running over 15 miles a week, when you pace yourself out. So I gave myself a lot of months to train. So I was gradually getting closer to that training, to that point. When you are, again, make sure you give yourself time, but while you're in that, make sure you are changing what you're eating. I had to change out my salads for more hearty meals. I need to make sure that I had carbohydrates, I had proteins, I had healthy fats, I wasn't eating a lot of meat right before my runs. And then I started to eat more meats and things like that during my runs. A big thing for me, I never like to eat processed foods. Now I'm saying that. Now I'm like a whole foodie up in Philly after this race. But, prior to that, I was like, no, I'm not eating pasta. Like, no, I'm not eating white potatoes. Like, although that's not processed, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not eating these hearty carbohydrates. Now, while I was training and all that good stuff, I had no choice but to do that, because at the rate that you're burning calories, even when you are not running, you are literally hungry all the time. Like, my family was surprised, because they're like, girl, you don't even eat this much. But let me tell you, I would go to my family's house, I'd be like, whatever you have cooking, I'm eating. Whatever's leftovers, I'm eating. And it was kind of freeing too, because I say that because I am one to, like, I like to be mindful of what I'm eating. But when you're running that much, and you're really putting your body through that, it's just so important for you to kind of let go of some of those things, and you really learn how to fuel your body. It's about fueling your body so your body can go and perform at its best. So a lot of greens. I was eating, like, kale. I remember I used to just put handfuls of kales within all my protein shakes. I would have at least, like, 2 protein shakes a day, like, plus my food that I would eat, just because, again, if I'm hungry, I'm gonna make sure I'm fueling my body. But sometimes I just felt like, okay, I'm gonna run today, or I'm gonna run tomorrow, I need to make sure that I'm at my best. So making sure you're fueling, and this is good for your muscles too. Making sure you're eating things that are going to help your muscles perform at their best. A big thing when during your race, you want to make sure, if you're not a water drinker, I know I have a lot of friends who are training for races and they're just not water drinkers. Baby girl, that needs to change today. You need to be a water drinker, because again, at the pace and at the rate that you are going, your body is moving and getting rid of water all the time through sweat, just through using the bath, all that good stuff. You need to hydrate, 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 hydrate. I got those hydrate IVs that people use when they're hungover. And y'all, I would just drink one throughout the day just because. Oh, sorry, those little birds. Let me tell you, these little Philly birds, they are not scared. They are so cute, but they are not scared. They be getting so close to me. But anyway, I would drink a hydrate IV packet. Like, I would just drink it, put it in my water bottle, and just drink it throughout the day. Just because, like, I need to be hydrated. Another thing is alcohol intake. Cut that shit down. Cut it down. Because when you are running for a race, you want to make sure that nothing's hindering you, right? Like, I remember Fridays, I would like to go out with my friends and go dancing. Well, I would just be like, hey, I'm just going to have seltzer water and lemon. Or even at that, sometimes it was just like, hey, I don't even think I'm going to go out because I need to sleep. You know, I always knew Sunday nights, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to do that, because I know that I have to get up tomorrow, and tomorrow's my long run, and that's going to take a lot out of me. So making sure that you're aware of those things, hydrate, and make sure that you're not like drinking excessively. I'm not saying you can't drink at all, but if you drink once a week, I would just say cut it down to half. You know, like if you drink once a week, you drink like, I don't know, a cocktail, just drink half that shit, or make it a seltzer. Right, what to wear. This was like the hardest thing for me, because I felt like, well, it's not the hardest thing, but it was something that I thought about a lot, because I was training in November, December, January, February, and then March, which is like more springy time. That's when my race was. So I was trying to, like find the right fit. Not just that, but even like, just trying to find the right bra to wear while you're running. Like, you don't want to be running and then, you feel uncomfortable halfway through the run. So what I did is I made sure that throughout my runs, I used that as practice for what I could do, what I could wear for the actual day. So I made sure that like I was trying different bras, I was trying different panties, I was trying different like short sets. I remember for a long time, because it was cold out, I would run with leggings on. And I loved running with leggings on. And then my friend was like, oh my gosh, like how can you run with all of that? And then I tried shorts one time and I felt so free. And I was like, oh my gosh. But I didn't try shorts until like literally the beginning of March. The race was March 27th. The first time I had shorts on was like March 1st. So it's just finding what works for you and then keep doing that up until race day. I got this belt that I got on Amazon. And I can tag all the things that I got. I got a lot of things from Amazon, like the hydration, all that good stuff. So I got this belt from Amazon, and this was a game changer, because before I would run with a fanny pack, and that thing is so big and bulky. And I was like, what the hell am I doing with this? So I got a runner's belt, and that was like game changing. It was so beautiful. I still use it to this day, and it stretched out. So anyway, I'll tag that below. But I would run with that faithfully, and there was no going back after that. You want to make sure that you have the right shoes. I went to a running track store, and they helped me, because my foot, I don't have flat feet, but I don't have a big arch either. So they helped me decide what shoe would be good for me. So I definitely recommend that you go to a running store and have someone help you find the right shoe for you. So I talked to my other friend who he runs track and all that good stuff. And he basically was like, hey, Janelle, like make sure you get your shoe and you train with that shoe the whole time, and you use that shoe for your race, like period. Yeah, so make sure that you get a good shoe that's comfortable, that's good for your foot. Not everyone's feet is different. So you want to make sure that just because your friend ran with Hoka, sorry, these birds are serious out here. Just because your friend ran with like Hoka or Asics doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to be best for you. So make sure you get what's best for you. This actually was the hardest part for me, because I didn't understand it. So while I was running with Peloton, and they were like explaining to me, while you're running, they'll like talk to you and say, hey, like make sure you're, figuring out what's your rate per mile, or, like your, how long is it taking you? Man, I knew all these keywords. I should get that. What's your rate per mile? What's your record? All that good stuff. I didn't know how to figure that out. And it would stress me out during my runs, because I was halfway through my training and I still didn't really understand it, but I knew what it felt like. So first things first, Robin from Peloton always says this: make sure you lean into your feeling. Your feeling is not going to lie to you. So if you get to know as you run, because remember, you're running 3 times a week, so you get to know what a good day feels like. You get to know what a good day is and a bad running day is, because you know how you felt, right? So I would go off of feeling a lot. I felt like, oh wow, I'm doing really good on this run, or oh wow, this run is like taking me out. So when they talk about what's your race day pace, they're really talking about like per mile, how far, how fast are you running. So what I started doing is I used my Apple Watch and I started tracking how much time my miles were taking. So my first mile, how much time was that? My second mile, how much time was that? My third mile, how much time was that? And so doing that over and over again, I know it sounds tedious, and when again, this is like me doing this halfway through my training. So of course, this was like too much for me to think about when I started training. But once you're halfway through your training, where you know what your tempo run is going to feel like and look like, you know what your long run is going to feel like and look like, those kind of things, then you can start thinking about, I say like halfway through your training, start thinking about your, start pacing yourself and like start looking into your watch to see how much time it takes, or even using your phone. Like, you want to make sure that you're setting realistic goals. This is so real. They always tell you in running and in when you're doing marathons and racing and all that good stuff, remember, it's not a race, it's a marathon. And remember, this is you against you, okay? You want to set realistic goals. You want to make sure you're not comparing yourself. You think if it's raining outside, you think your run that day is going to be as great and smooth as the run that happened like during a day that was sunny out. You get what I'm saying? Like, be realistic. No, there's no way that when it's almost when it's raining and there's water on the floor, that I'm gonna run nearly as fast or whatever. If you're on your cycle, you think, girl, come on, let's keep it 100. Sometimes you're on your cycle and it's not gonna be the same. You get what I'm saying? There's just so many factors. I remember just being exhausted. I moved from my town to Philadelphia during that time. It was unrealistic for me to think that in my transition, I was gonna be able to run the same pace. I remember going for runs and thinking like, oh my God, my runs were so much better in Lancaster because I felt safe. I knew where I was. I'm still learning my way around the city. Where should I run? So just be realistic about your goals, because when you're realistic about your goals, you're less likely to become unmotivated and become discouraged. So keep yourself encouraged by staying realistic about your goals. Another thing that was great, I started in November training. Like, I remember the beginning of November, that's when I started training. I never ran a race or ran a marathon, nothing like that. So then I did the Thanksgiving 5K, because I wanted to know what it felt like to run around people and all that good stuff. Y'all, this 5K was a hot ass mess, because I peed myself when I got through past the finish line, because when you're running with people, you're like next to them and like you think you have to keep up with them. And it was just, I ran my fastest mile during that time, but I also was not ready because I had just started training. But it was a great experience. So I want to encourage you to get out to go and run different races. Like, if there's a 5K coming up, run that 5K. If there's something, anything, just go and try it out, because the energy that you get from those spaces and just experience it takes away from the anxiety of the day of the race. It really does. How to stay motivated during your race. This was such a big part of my whole journey, and running a half marathon for me felt like a whole life experience, right? Because just like life has its ups and downs, life has these moments where we have these big highs or these low lows, you know what I mean? The same is with running and training. You get to learn yourself in such a beautiful way, because you're running for long periods of time and so much. You're having like this mindful moment, constantly. So I felt like it made you, your mental health, it just felt good, because you were away from people at least an hour, 2 hours, a week, a day, with 3 times a week. So that really takes a good toll on your mental health. It helps you become more self-aware, helps you become more in tune with your body. But just some things that you want to make sure that you do to stay motivated, because although it has all these awesome benefits, it's not like I would never wake up on a Sunday and say, I can't wait to run for 2 hours straight. No, like I wasn't looking forward to those blisters on my feet. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, no, but I knew that I had to do it because I had a deadline. I knew March was coming. I want to make sure that you're setting short-term goals and long-term goals. Something I did is I was really into like workout gear during this time. and running gear because I was learning. So I remember when I hit like 9 miles during my training, I said, when I hit 9 miles, I'm gonna buy the shirt that I saw at Dick's. That was like $60. And usually I would never do that because I would not pay that much for a shirt, but I knew I wanted to run this race with that shirt on. So when I hit 9 miles, I bought the shirt. So that was a short term goal that helped me stay motivated, right? Like, I remember a long term goal was just me, just the whole idea of me finishing the finishing the line, like finishing the race. That was a goal of mine, and I just wanted to finish it. So that was like a long term goal. But I want to encourage you to set short term and long term goals. As far as like overcoming like the mental barriers, there's a lot of times that I cried throughout my training. Like I would literally cry like while I was literally training running. First of all, I encourage you to let it all out. Let it out, let it out, let it out. But you just really need to remind yourself that you are doing this for you. Running a race, I feel like, is so intimate and personal because it's really for no one else. It benefits nobody else but yourself. And so I remember like during that time, I would just tell myself, wow, like I get to do this for me and I am showing up for myself. And that would keep me motivated. Now, there was days that I was tired, and honestly, like, listen to your body. If you're exhausted, listen to your body. But don't let it be one of those things that's like, I just don't want to do this. Do you get what I'm saying? And again, always celebrate your victories. If you did not want to go for a run, but you did go for that run, make sure you make it a big deal that you did it. Celebrate everything. And that is so important when doing this marathon. Everything is a celebration because it's hard.